Hi friends, I welcome you to Learner Ansari Java tutorial. In this tutorial, you are going to learn constructor. Let us understand the definition of the constructor. And before learning the constructor practically, let me give you what is a constructor. The constructor, its appearance is almost look like a method. So the constructor is like a method, sometimes called as super method. And the other point about the constructor is the constructor name is same as class name. And the third point about the constructor is the constructor should not have return type like void or primitive data type and object data type. So there will be no return type for constructor. And the fourth important point about the constructor is the constructor will be called automatically when object is instantiated, that means created. We don't need to call the constructor manually as we call the method using the object. Here at the time of object creation, the constructor will be called automatically. We need not call the constructor explicitly. Hope you understand theoretically what is a constructor. So before learning the constructor, these are all the points we should keep in mind. So constructor is like a method and its name is same as class name, and it should not have any return type because constructor will not return any value, and it will be called automatically when the object is created. And, and let us see the use of constructor. The use of the constructor is it is widely used to initialize the instance variable. So let me create a class employee. For this, let us make let us declare two instance variable like employee name and employee's age and his salary. So let us see. Let us create another Java class example constructor. Yes. Here, let us create the employee class object. First, employee John equal to new employee. Okay. So here, if I want to give the name of the John object and age and salary, I have to initialize it manually like John dot name is equal to John and John dot John is nothing but it's not a name, it's an object. We can give any, for example, J and J, whatever. So here the name of the object is John, and age we can give like 25, and John dot a salary is equal to $5,000. Okay. So this is how we have to initialize the instance variable when we create a object outside the class. So or else we can use any method to pass the value to set it. So as we do it in encapsulation concept using the setter method, initializing the instance variable. Otherwise, we have to use the data member directly using the object, and we have to initialize like this. So for example, if the employee in this situation we have only three data member of employee class. If you have more than 10 or 15, then we cannot give each and every data member in next line. Then what will happen? Our code will look ugly. So what we can do is we can initialize all the instance variable in single line by using the constructor. So what we can do here is we can create a constructor. So to initialize these three data member, let us do how to create a constructor. The point it is like a method. So the method appearance looks like we have to create a method, and the name is same as class name. So it should not have any return type. So let me create employee class name is same as constructor name and open. So the appearance of the constructor is almost look like a method, so we call this as a super method. And there is no void or primitive data type or object type before the name of the constructor. So it should, because the constructor will not return any value, so I have not given any return type. Then name is same as class name. So this is a default constructor. As I told you, when we create a object, it will be called automatically. The default constructor will be called automatically. In this program, if I delete this constructor also, here I'm creating an object. So the point, the fourth point here is the constructor will be called automatically when the object is created. But here I have created a object for employee class. Now this employee class doesn't have any constructor. Now which constructor is called when I create a object John? So what happens here is, if we have not declared any constructor, the compiler creates a default constructor itself. So even though we have not defined any constructor here, the compiler itself adds the default constructor like this. So each and every Java program contains a default constructor even we have not defined. So hope you understand. So all the program calls, whenever we create the object, the default constructor is called automatically. I mean this constructor. Let us check how it is called. For example, here name is equal to Peter, and age is equal to 30, and salary equal to $5,000. So this is a number. So I have given like this. So let me give you a toString object, toString. Let me override the toString method so that it prints the name, age, and salary. So the toString method will be called when we print the object. So name, uh, age, salary. So okay, now before without this constructor, let us see what is printed. Without John, let's delete this. Now I'm printing the John object. So whenever we are printing the object, the toString method will be called. It returns the name, age, salary. It contains nothing. So the default value will be printed. So the default value of the object type string is null, and the default value of integer is 0, and salary is also 0. So we will get the output null 0 0. Let me execute this program. Yes, as I said, we have got the output exactly null 0 0. To initialize it, we have to give John name is equal to John, or John age is equal to 35, and again John. So we have to initialize each and everything like this. 5,000. Now what will happen? We have initialized each and every data member successfully here in this code. So when I print this, John 35 5,000 will be printed, because when I created this object, it calls the default constructor. Even though we have not yet defined any constructor, the compiler adds here with no code, and then we are initializing the variable, name object and age variable and salary variable. Now it is set. Now executing this program, we will get the output John 35 5,000. So as I said, as I mentioned earlier, if it is, if the employee class contains nearly 20 instance variables, then it's quite difficult to initialize each and everything by mentioning it, name, age, salary. So it's quite difficult. So what we can do is we can create a constructor manually. So yeah, here I have defined the default constructor. So when I call this constructor, you don't need to call. When I create this object, the constructor will be called automatically. So employee with no parameter. So no parameter constructor is called employee. So it looks same. Employee with no parameter bracket parenthesis, the same. This is called. So when the object is created, its default constructor is called. Now what happens? The name is set to Peter and the age is set to 30 and salary is set to 5,000. Now, when I print this John object, what it prints is it returns the name. The name is already set with Peter, and the age is set to 30 and 5,000. So we will get the answer Peter 30 5,000. Let us check it out whether we are getting the right output. Yes. So Peter 35,000. So this constructor is called automatically. So let us see what is the parameter constructor. So here, whatever the object we create, for example, employee James equal to new, sorry, new employee and James. So now it will also print the same Peter 30 5,000 will be printed twice. So because again this James object invokes the default employee constructor. Now again the name, age and salary is set to Peter 35,000. For example, if you want to initialize it here, then you have to mention it James dot name, James dot age, and James dot salary. Instead, what you can do is you can pass the data by using the default constructor. A program can more than a class can have more than one constructor with different parameter, but here a same class cannot have the two default constructor. So I'm making a parameter constructor like string name, again integer age and integer salary. So here this is a local variable. This is an instance variable, this is a local variable, both are different. If you want you can give another name for this name, for example dummy name, d name, and d age, d salary, but compiler will not give you the error for giving the same name for both instance variable and local variables. Now this dot name is equal to name and this dot age is equal to age and this dot salary, this is an operator to mention the current instance variable salary. Okay, now let us call this constructor. In this constructor we have to create a object with the three values so that this constructor will be called. When we create a object like this, only the default constructor will be called because there is no value inside this parenthesis. So this constructor will be called. So always the name will be Peter and age will be 30 and salary will be set to 5,000. If you want to call this constructor, you have to pass three values. For example, the James I'm calling here. Inside first I have given the string type, so I have to pass the string value. For example, Gosling. Then the second one is integer age. I am passing 45, and the third one is salary $10,000. Now let us execute this program. Yes, Gosling 45 10,000. So what happens here is when I create the object with the three parameter with the three value, it calls the constructor which has the three parameters. So the compiler checks, the JVM checks which constructor contains three parameter. We have only two constructor in this class. One is the no parameter constructor, another one is a parameter constructor. This parameter constructor, it has first a string value and it will check whether we are calling with passing the string value. Yes, it is. So the Gosling will be set to this name, and again this is an integer 45 and the 45 will be passed to this age variable and the 10,000 will be passed to the salary. So what happens now, this name object contains Gosling and this age contains 45 and salary contains 10,000. Now this name is set to this dot name. This dot name is nothing but this variable. So this operator is used to mention the differentiate this instant variable and this variable. Without this, the program will not work properly, because name is equal to name. Again, it is like integer I is equal to I, so it will be set to same variable again. So to differentiate the local variable and the instance variable, we have used this operator. So the ghostling will be set to this name, and the age will be set to the 45 will be passed to this age, and salary is passed to salary. So when I print the James object, it calls the toString method. Now it returns name, age, salary. So ghostling and 45 and 5000 is returned. So it is printed successfully. So this is how we use the constructor. So let me remind you again, the constructor is like a method, and its name is same as class name, and it will not return any value. So it should not have any return type, and the constructor will be called automatically when the object is created. I hope you understand the use of constructor. Thank you for watching.